Good morning, everyone. We have with us today Ms. Jayashree Pradhan. As everyone will know, she has secured rank 52 this year. She is a law graduate, and accordingly, her optional was law this year. She has secured 288 marks this year in law optional, which is one of the highest this year. She has won many accolades to her name, as few of them are. She has won an Outstanding Delegate Award for being representing at MGIT Model United Nations. Furthermore, she has her keen interest in playing guitar as well, and having attained a Grade 8 merit certification from Trinity College, London in 2015. So I would like to invite Mr. Abhishek sir to the stage. Now I would like to call upon Rajesh sir on the stage. Okay, so not wasting more time, I would like to give the stage to ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Jayashree Pradhan, and I have a little bit of introduction about myself. So it has already generously introduced me. But still, I was born and raised in Darjeeling, which is a small and beautiful town in West Bengal. And I did my entire schooling from Darjeeling itself. I studied in Loreto Convent, Darjeeling, after which I pursued my legal education from Karnataka, Bangalore, Karnataka State Law University. And I gave my first attempt right after graduation. I graduated in 2022, and a few months of preparation, and then I gave my first attempt. I did not make it through prelims, obviously. This was my second but first serious proper attempt, and thankfully, I have gained a good rank this year, and I'll be getting my preferred service, which is the Indian Foreign Service. So this is a little bit about me. Now, before I move on, I just want to talk about why exactly did I want to give this toppers talk as well. I am somebody who has done self-study. I did not take classroom coaching as such. I prepared from home. I prepared in Darjeeling itself in my little room. And, the direction that I wanted was provided to me by toppers. I used to watch a lot of toppers videos, especially in the beginning. So I would suggest in the beginning, you can watch a few toppers videos, get a general direction, a general sense of what they're saying. After that, you can stop, because then you'll get confused. So this is what I did as well. In the beginning, when I started, I used to watch some toppers videos, and I used to make some notes regarding what were they saying. And I realized that all of them, at some point, they were repeating the same points. Obviously, the individual strategies were different. Maybe the number of hours and how they studied, all of those things could be different. But there were certain basic principles that remained constant throughout. And I told myself that this is what I'm going to do as well. I am going to make this basic framework, and I'm going to follow those basic pointers, and this is how I'm going to prepare. I will share with you those pointers. But before that, I would like to say that there are two elements in this exam. In this exam, the first element is the mental aspect. And the second element is the physical aspect of actually studying, which everybody does, every serious candidate does. But the first aspect, which is the mental aspect, I think this is what will distinguish you as a topper, as somebody who will clear this exam. Because this exam needs a lot of courage as well. So I'll just talk about the mental aspects first, because I think there are a few things you must keep in mind. The first thing is, please believe in yourself. And some of you, may come from small places and from small towns where you may not have adequate resources. I mean, I did not have adequate resources as well, and yet I'm here. So please believe in yourself, regardless of where you come from. UPSC does not discriminate when it comes to these things. So that is the first and most important thing that you need to tell yourself, first thing. Secondly, when it comes to competition, there's a lot of talk about how this exam is very competitive. And this competition is what makes it difficult at the end of the day, right? But I would like to say that if you focus excessively on the competition part, then it'll make it very difficult for you to concentrate on your own studies. Your competition has to be yourself. You have to make a record of how much you're studying, how you're studying, and you have to try to beat that. You have to try to beat yourself, not somebody else. The only way where you should be taking other people into consideration is where you're feeling inspired by them. If you look at other people and you feel inspired by how much they are studying, then you can take that into consideration. Otherwise, if you feel inferior to them at any point in time, stop it, because it's not going to benefit you. So the second aspect is, do not be in competition with others. Your main competition is yourself, all right? So that is the second bit. Now the third bit is, please, when you give this exam, go all in. Like, you have to give it your everything when you're preparing for this exam. I will talk about my first attempt. So my first attempt, I started preparing from January 2022, and the first exam, my first prelims was in June. So in effect, I only studied for around 5 months, right? But the way I studied in those 5 months, right, this was not in my head that, oh, okay, you know, I'm just giving it, I'm not going to study well. No, that's not how I studied. I actually studied very, very seriously. Even though I knew that the chances of me clearing prelims that year was very, very low, even then I gave it my best. And I'll tell you, that is the reason why I'm here today in my second attempt. So do not underestimate anything. If you're preparing for this exam, you have to go all in. You cannot do it half-heartedly. You have to give it everything. So that is the third thing. And the final thing I would like to say from the mental aspect part is, you know, enjoy the process. Because this exam can also get very monotonous, and it is a very challenging exam. It takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of grit. So you need to enjoy the process as well. And I'll tell you what happens is that, you know, this exam is also very interesting. So the more you try to generate interest in these subjects, and when you start writing answers and when you start attempting questions, and you get some of them right, some of them you get wrong, but the energy that you get from learning things and from answer writing as well, I'll come to that later, you will start enjoying the process. And that is what's most important. If you're enjoying the process, I would say you're on the right track. Like, honestly, if you're enjoying the process, you're on the right track. If you're constantly feeling negative about it, obviously there'll be negative moments, there will be bad moments where you will feel down. But if it's constant, very constantly, you know, cursing yourself, why did you choose this, then you're probably not on the right track. You have to enjoy the process as well. So these are the main aspects, the mental part, because the mental part is also very important in this exam. Let's move on to the physical aspect, okay? The actual studying bit, how to study and everything. Now, this is something that everybody does, every serious candidate studies. But I already told you that there are certain principles that I had figured out from watching a lot of toppers talks, that this is what most toppers do. And I realized that across the spectrum, most toppers, they follow 5 basic things, okay? The first thing is that they use very limited resources. That is one. The second thing, they focus on revision, maximum revision. They keep revising the same limited resources over and over again. The third thing, there's a focus on current affairs as well. And the fourth thing, they practice a lot. There's this emphasis on practice. Every topper's talk that you go to, they will talk about practice. They'll talk about mock tests, they'll talk about answer writing practice, whatever it is. And the fifth thing is the previous year questions. And I realized that it is these 5 things that across the spectrum, these are the ones that are most common. And I decided that no matter what I do, when I'm studying, when I'm doing this self-study as well, I'm going to incorporate these 5 things in my preparation, and I'll tell you how I did that. Now, this is going to be very individualized. How you incorporate these things into your preparation will be very individualized to you. I will tell you how I did it. You can take inspiration from it. You do not have to follow it to the dot, but this is how I incorporated these aspects. Now, I will talk about my second attempt itself, because, you know, the first attempt, I told you I studied very seriously, but then I was sort of directionless. It is in my second attempt that I actually got a sense of direction. So let's say that you're preparing for 2025, 2026, whatever it is. Now, the first thing is that you need to make plans. Without plans, you cannot expect yourself to, you know, to study in a proper manner. You have to have plans. You need to have long-term plans. You need to have short-term plans. So I will tell you my long-term plan. My long-term plan was I will complete all the subjects by December. All the subjects should be completed by December, and from January I will start prelim-specific preparation. And I knew that prelims is also getting very challenging, because the previous attempt I could not clear prelims. So prelims is something that really scared me, and I think it is one of the most difficult papers of this exam. And given the last year's paper also, it's become very challenging, which is why you need to give that focus on prelims as well. So I had decided that till December I will complete all the topics. From January I'll start revision. Now, how do you complete all the topics till December? This is what I did. Please subscribe to a test series. This is what I had done. I had subscribed to a test series Vision IAS is good, Forum IAS is also good, I would recommend too. Now, what these test series does is, if you subscribe to it, you would know that every week you're going to have a test. There'll be 2 iterations. In the first iteration, they'll finish the basic foundation thing. It's a very basic test that you'll have. And by October, a more advanced level starts, right? This is how it goes. So try to finish it by, in the second part, when you start the October part, that's when you start answer writing and everything. But the testing part is very important. What happens is that then you have a routine to follow. And I would have a routine, I would have those daily set targets, I would have those weekly targets, and this is how I actually completed the entire, my plan that I talked about. By December, what I said I would complete all the basic subjects, this is how I completed, because I was doing these tests, and I was constantly assessing myself. I will talk about the resources as well. What resources did I actually follow? Because it's very important. I think it's something that most people are also confused about. This is what I did. You can check other people as well. So starting with history, art and culture. Art and culture, I referred to NCRTs. Ancient history, I referred to class 6 NCRT and class 12 part A. That is the source I followed for ancient history. For medieval history, class 7 and class 12 part 2. Okay, that is the source for ancient and medieval history. And you have this Lucent book, the GK book, the first 20 pages of it. Very good, very crisp, very precise. I discovered that in my second attempt. That was the source I followed for ancient and medieval. I think that was more than enough for me, because it is not my strong point either. And for art and culture, obviously Nitin Singhania's Sir book is extremely good. But the thing is, it's also become very bulky now. So what I also did is this, there's this video on YouTube, Unacademy. They have uploaded the entire summary of the book. It's I think about 5 hours and 8 hours long, 5 hours and 3 hours long. So totally it's around 8 hours. I remember I watched the entire video and I made notes out of it, and that summarized the entire book. And I thought that for art and culture, I'll just do this much, because it's not my strong point, and I'll just know basic questions. You know, if it comes in the prelims, I should not miss out on those basic questions, but I don't need to go in depth. That is what I thought. So for ancient, medieval, and art and culture, those were my sources. For modern history, my source was Spectrum, the small book. That was more than enough. And for geography, I referred to class 11 and 12 NCRTs. That's it, nothing more. And then for polity, obviously M. Lakshmikant. And for governance and IR is current affairs, Vision IAS current affairs. That's more than enough for all those things. For economy, I referred to Mrunal sir's notes as well, and NCRT, class 11 NCRT. That's more than enough for economics. For environment, I referred to Shankar IAS. Shankar IAS is good. And for science and tech, again, current affairs. I also briefly went through class 6 to class 10. The NCRTs, I went through it, and I made brief notes on these subjects. From class 6 to class 10, I made brief notes out of it. And I think most of the subjects are covered. Did I miss out anything as such? No, I think that's it. So those were the sources that I followed. And the way I completed those subjects is, like I said, I subscribed to these test series. I used to study it weekly, and I used to give that test at the end of the week, and I would assess myself. Now, with respect to mock tests, what you do is, if you sit and when you give a test, right, the testing is for your strategy, how you're actually going to attempt the paper. That is how you're going to do it. You'll figure out how many questions to attempt, what is your sweet spot. That is when you realize, when you're writing your test. And when you analyze these tests, you'll realize that these wrong answers that you're making, you'll sit and you'll make notes. It'll take a long time. You must have realized, if you've given a test, it takes ages for you to analyze the test. So what you can do, in my first attempt when I would give tests, and I used to take a long time, just analyzing these tests. In my second attempt, what I did instead is, see, for instance, if Vision IAS, they have these tests, they also give a digital answer sheet. So I used to make notes in Google Docs. I used to just copy paste the answers. And I used to make subject-wise notes. For instance, I gave a subject-wise test of polity. Now I have a polity document ready in words. Okay. Now I will just highlight the portions that I did it wrong, and I'm going to copy it in the Word. So by the end of the year, I have enough notes of all the answers that I got wrong, and I would just revise it. It takes less time, and you'll be able to revise it also. So this is how I used to analyze the mock tests, and this is how the entire throughout the year preparation went on till December. The other thing is, you also need to practice a lot right from June, July itself. Now, I used to practice around 20 to 30 prelims tests, these objective type questions, and about 2 to 3 answer writing daily. Now, for these prelims questions, right, what you need to do is there's lots of online stuff available. Just Google Insights Daily or whatever, Vision IS Daily, whatever institute, daily static quizzes, daily current affairs quizzes. You will get a list. And add UPSC at the end. You'll get a list of all the questions. I used to practice around 20, 30 of these questions every single day. And I used to do it after dinner because after dinner I wouldn't feel like studying. So practicing daily these 20, 30 questions, just imagine in a matter of 6 months, how many questions would you have practiced? And this is not even counting the weekly test that you're giving. This is in addition to the weekly test, the weekly 100 tests that you're giving. So that is a lot. So, this is actually going to help you in your prelims preparation, and you'll be able to clear prelims with that much amount of practice. So that is one. And when it comes to your mains, right, when it comes to answer writing, I would say start it in somewhere around October. The reason why I'm talking about October is because by October, you would have completed the first iteration. The first basic foundation place you would have completed through your tests. And from October, the more advanced level would have started. So from October to December, you can write maybe 2 to 3 different questions every day. And talking about the optional, how do you cover optional during the time? So my optional was law, and I got 288 marks in optional this year, which is a very good score considering law as well. And it's, I think, one of the highest I would say. Now I'll tell you how do you prepare for your optional, regardless of whatever optional you have. For your optional, what you need to do is you need to go through the basic 10 years questions. And thankfully for me, for law, what we have is we have subject-wise questions prepared by certain institutes like Law Experts and De Facto IAS. They have these subject-wise questions ready. I don't know for your optional whether you have those subject-wise questions ready or not, but regardless of that, please go through the previous 10-year questions and you'll realize that most of the questions are repeated. That's just how it is. Regardless of which optional you have, most of the questions will be repeated in optional. What I used to do for optional is I used to go through these previous year questions and I used to make notes. I used to make notes of it, and then I realized that if I'm going through the previous 10-year questions and I'm making notes out of the questions that are being asked, then almost 70% of my optional is complete. So this was my main goal. Up till December, my 70% of my optional should be complete. I should have my notes ready. So this is what I did throughout the year. I completed my basic books. Almost I completed them twice, because the first iteration test you complete the basic stuff, and the second one you move to a more higher advanced level. So I completed the basic books almost twice. Secondly, when it comes to optional, I completed about 70% of the optional. I made notes accordingly, the previous 10-year questions. And then I also was constantly giving tests. I was constantly practicing. So I had this in my head that I'm not just studying, I'm practicing, and practicing is very important. I already told you about the 5 main principles you have to follow. So I was already doing that. Now this is what you do throughout the year. This is what I did throughout the year. Now let's move specifically to prelims preparation, because prelims has become very challenging, and how do you circumvent the difficulty of prelims today? So when it comes to prelims, what I did is I started my preparation from January itself. Most people would started by February, March, but I knew that for me particularly, prelims is a very challenging stage of the exam. So I started it from January itself. And again, basic principles remain the same. What I did is I made my own schedule. I decided that I will complete my first revision in 7 days. So I gave 7 days per subject, the first time. The second revision, I gave it around 3 to 4 days. And the third revision, I gave it around 2 days. So every subject I had made this plan that I will complete the revision in 7 days, 4 days, and 2 days. So I could complete about 3 to 4 times revision of these subjects by the time prelims came near. Apart from that, I'll tell you one of the major changes that I made when I shifted to prelims preparation is practice at this scheduled hour from 9:30 to 11:30, because that is when your mind has to work. It has to work during the time, and it has to work in the MCQ format. So what I used to do during 9:30 to 11:30 is I used to go through previous year papers as well. This is where previous year questions becomes extremely relevant, and not just the previous year 10-year questions of UPSC. UPSC conducts other exams as well. UPSC conducts CDS, CAPF, and all of that. So what I used to do is I used to go through those papers. I used to look at the GS part of these questions. Not the very technical parts, but the GS portion of these exams. This is what I used to practice. I used to practice it a lot. And even when it comes to analyzing these previous year papers, it's very important, because it's not just about attempting the paper, it's also about the options. What I used to do is I used to print out these previous year papers. So in one side, I would have the printed out questions, the other side would be completely blank. And when I used to analyze, I used to look at each and every option, and I used to make notes out of it. So I will tell you, I will in fact share it in my Telegram group also once I go back. I have a Telegram channel, you can follow it. So in the Telegram group, I will show you a picture of how my entire, the paper that you have, the GS1 paper of UPSC, the blank page would be completely filled with notes, because that's how I would make notes out of the options that are given by UPSC. This is how you analyze it, and this is how you will actually benefit from previous year questions. It's not just about marking the correct answer. It's not just about strategy. It's also about, really delving deep into the options that are provided, because this is where the questions will get repeated. Regardless of which year it is, questions will get repeated, and you will get an idea on how much questions to attempt when you practice these questions. So this is what I did for prelims. Now from 9:30 to 10:30, what about CSAT? CSAT I gave, I think from March, April, I started practicing CSAT. Again, see, my approach is different. You all can have a different approach as well. So my approach used to be, my mind has to work at that particular time. The problem with me is I used to sleep. I used to take an afternoon nap. And I used to take an afternoon nap after lunch, which used to be around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And then I realized that this is not going to work in the actual exam. I can't be feeling sleepy during that time, during CSAT. So from March onwards, I stopped taking afternoon naps at that time. I started taking afternoon naps after the CSAT. I used to practice for around 1 hour, 2 hours. And after, I think from 2:30 to 3:30, if I'm practicing, then I would sleep, because that is fine. But so I shifted my afternoon nap timings as well, because my body had to get used to it. So in these, from 2:30 to 3:30, what I used to do is, again, I used to go through the previous year papers, and I used to go through YouTube videos, some YouTube videos that are available, like Abhimanyu IAS is there. What they do is they take a topic, you practice all the previous year questions, and they delve it in a little more detail than what is given in the previous year papers. So this is something that I found really helpful. My father was also there to guide me. My father is a math teacher. I mean, he retired recently, but he was also there to help me. So if I had any doubts, I would go to him. So this is something that really helped me in the actual prelims preparation. Apart from that, the rest remained the same. What I used to do throughout the year, making plans, revising over and over again, maximum revision, and all those principles that I mentioned, those remain those remain the same. It's just that the timings, 9:30 to 11:30 practice, and again from 2:30 to 3:30, that is from March onwards, a CSAT practice, that is what changed. Okay, and that is about prelims. You can ask me more questions later on. I will just quickly move on to mains preparation, how I prepared for mains. Now for mains, again, you'll see a common trend in my speech. You'll see it repeatedly, I'll be focusing on the same things over and over again, because it is so important. Now again, for mains, what is needed is some sort of direction, some sort of idea about how you're going to do about it. And I was part of this SFG group by Satyam Jain. You must have heard of him. And I was part of that group, and I remember in the, he had taken a session where he had talked about, he gave some timelines. Okay, this is when you have to complete this. So this plan is all I needed. I needed that plan, because I am somebody who works on plans. So I needed to know by when should I complete GS1, by when should I complete GS2, by when should I complete GS3, and by when should I complete GS4. The same thing for optional. For optional, I subscribed to a test series. I unfortunately did not give it. I'll talk about test series and mains and all that, and how I did this optional whatever. But I'll tell you, I did subscribe to this test series. Unfortunately, I could not give it. But the most important part of that test series was the timetable. So they gave this timetable, a 60-day timetable, where they told me, this is when you have to complete this subject, this is when you have to complete that subject, and I went according to that time limit. So for me, planning has always been a very important role. And when I say planning, I don't mean minute planning, time by time, you need to figure out by what time you will get up and what time you sleep. No, that will depend. That is very flexible. I'm talking about targets. You need to have targets. That is more important. So when I say plan, I don't mean, plan out your entire day in extreme detail, because that is going to be very rigid and you won't be able to follow it. So you need some flexibility, but target setting is very important. So for mains, I made these targets. I mean, I had help, of course. I had external help. And once I had these help, this help. What is different in mains preparation is the extent of your practice, it increases. You practice a lot. I will tell you, because I was preparing by myself and I had nobody around, what I used to do is I used to write 50 pages per day. This was my target, and this is what I used to. Sometimes I used to write 30, sometimes I used to write more than 50, 60 I used to write, but the average around I used to write 50 pages a day. Because I knew that in the mains I have to complete the paper, which takes a lot of practice. So for me, that practice came from writing 50 pages a day. And the other thing is, when it comes to GS papers, I also knew that you can't know all the answers. You don't know all the answers, so you'll have to make some answers on the spot, which means you need a lot of practice. Because it's not that easy. You might say, I'll make it on the spot, but unless if you don't have the practice, you'll find it very difficult to make answers on the spot. So that practice and that brainstorming, constant practice is what helped me actually to clear this exam. So this practice part is what is different when it comes to mains preparation. And when it comes to optional as well, so optional, what I thought is, see, if I'm practicing for GS, then automatically my speed will improve. So for optional, what I focus more is in the knowledge part. Because I thought optional you need more in-depth knowledge, you need more in-depth analysis. So in GS, I'll focus on practice, on the speed and on the brainstorming aspects, but in the optional, I'll focus on more in-depth knowledge, is what I thought. So I gave more time to practice GS and more time to knowledge when it comes to optional. And maybe this is why I scored well in optional as well this year. The way I used to, the time management part, the way I used to do it is I used to give around 60-40 time. 60% of the time I would give it to optional, 40% time I would give it to GS. This is during mains. I forgot one thing. Throughout the year when I was talking about the preparation, where you do the entire year preparation till December, that time it used to be the opposite. It used to be 60% GS and 40% optional. And then later on, in between mains and in between prelims and mains, I did the opposite. I gave 60% of the time to optional, 40% to GS. And I would say, please give equal importance to both the subjects, to both GS and optional is important. And, because I'll tell you why. I have seen that some people focus excessively on optional. Optional is very important. It's your make and break, I agree. But so is GS. And, you can't ignore GS altogether. Some people do it. And I've seen people who completely ignore GS and they say, okay, GS, so you'll do it in 10-15 days. And they don't make it through mains. I have seen it myself. So please don't ignore GS and give it sufficient time as well. So this is what I did for mains. Now coming to interview. When it comes to interview, I came to Delhi after my mains result. So after I cleared mains, I came to Delhi. And I came to Delhi specifically because, I was very closed off. In the entire year, I was very closed off. I was in Darjeeling and, I was just studying there. So I knew that in the interview, I'll have to open up, I'll have to talk. So I came here for mock interviews. I gave it at around 9 different places. I gave it in Vision, I gave it in Rouse IAS, I gave it in Only IAS, I gave it in Next IAS. So I gave it at a lot of these places, and you'll see my videos also, some of them have been uploaded. Some of them I used to give one every week. And I remember one video that has gone quite viral. This was the one video that I gave very early on my preparation. So I didn't know a lot of answers there. But that's all right, that's all right. And when people ask you, when you get selected, oh, what about these questions that you didn't know? Let it serve as inspiration to others that you do not have to be perfect in this exam to clear the exam. You can still have knowledge gaps. You don't have to be perfect. So remove that idealized image in your head that, if you're a topper, then you must be a know-it-all. You must know everything. That is not true. And you realize this in the interview stage, because even in the actual interview, you will get asked questions where, you may not have proper information, where you may not have proper knowledge, and you'll still end up getting good marks. So that's how it works. I gave a lot of mocks, and I formed, so for interview, peer discussion is very important. Form a peer group. At the interview stage, I would recommend a peer group. I had a peer group for current affairs discussion. I had a peer group for law discussion. And out of those law people, around 3 of them they got selected this year. So, this peer group really helps. And what you need to do every day at the interview stage, I mean, right now you're not preparing for it, but when you reach that stage, you need to give about 1 to 2 hours every day, and you need to just discuss and you need to talk about it in an interview format. And this is going to be really helpful. This is really helpful for me. I got 200 marks in the interview this year, and I give a lot of that credit to the peer groups that I had, and to the constant discussions that I used to have during that time. So this is the entire preparation in a nutshell. This is how you prepared. This is how I did it. Now I will tell you a few other things. In this exam, there will be many moments where you will feel as though you will not make it. I will tell you my own experiences. I remember after the first paper, GS1, last year it was very difficult. And I was very scared that I would not make it this year. And after GS1, I was crying actually. I was almost in tears and I was crying, and I was telling my father, I don't think I'll make it this year because the paper was very difficult. And what happened is I attempted around 90 questions, because during the mock tests, I used to practice around 85 to 90 questions, and I used to clear the cutoff. So I had it in my head that I have to attempt 90 questions. And I attempted the 90 questions, and I still remember 10 minutes before the exam, I had attempted only 85 questions, all right? But 10 minutes before the exam, I decided to attempt 5 more. I don't know why, because I had 10 minutes left, so I thought I'll just attempt it. And if I were lucky, even one would be correct. All of them were wrong, all 5 of them. So, I mean, I felt so bad at that moment, and I realized, I've made this huge blunder, and I was crying and everything. And my father, he, inspired me. He said, no, you go ahead and give the second paper, regardless of what you do. And I gave the second paper, and I made it through, and I recently saw the marks. And I saw that I got 93 marks in GS1, which is almost 18 marks above the cutoff, which is a good score, but I didn't see that in myself at the time. I thought that I wouldn't be able to make it at all. So the lesson that I want you to draw from it is, oftentimes you'll have papers in the actual exam, and even not just papers, even days. There'll be days where you feel like you're not doing so well. But it's not just that day that counts. It's a cumulative effort, what you're doing throughout the year. That's what matters. So even if you have a bad day, or even if you have a bad paper, that doesn't mean that you're not doing well. You're probably doing better than you're giving yourself credit for. That is something you need to know. Similar thing happened to me in mains as well. In mains, after optional paper 1, when I was making the choice, in section A and section B, I realized that I made the wrong choice. I was writing an answer, and while writing the first paragraph, second paragraph, I realized I made the wrong choice. I should not have attempted this. And I cut it out. And I started attempting another question. And then I almost ran out of time. I completed the paper, I almost ran out of time, and I was very scared. After optional paper 1, I thought, gone, I will not be able to make it this year, because optional is such an important part of your preparation, and this is if this is where you're doing this, then you may not be able to make it. But then I ended up getting good scores again. I think I got decent scores in paper 1. Paper 2, I got better marks. Paper 1, I got 131. I think I could have gotten higher marks if I had not cut it out. In paper 2, I got 157, which brought my entire optional to 288 marks, which is a really good score. But I'm telling you that this is what happened to me in mains. And I've heard stories of how people, even they don't do paper essay properly, or they don't do GS1, GS2, GS3, and you'll feel as though, okay, now my attempt is gone. I will not be able to make it this year. Many people do feel that way. But I would like to say that most people who are writing the exams, they will have one paper or the other which does not go as planned. And that's all right. That's completely fine. That doesn't mean that you'll get extremely bad marks. I didn't. So, so just keep going. The lesson that you need to draw from it is, regardless of what you do, you must keep going, and you must not, give up, or you must not tell yourself, you must not be too hard on yourself. Because, like I said, it's the cumulative effort that counts, that you've been doing throughout the year, not just that one day. That the performance on that one day is dependent on what you've done throughout the year. So please be mindful of that, and do not put excessive pressure on yourself also. Same thing in the interview. In the interview, you go in and you'll have certain expectations. I would say please don't have any expectations. You go in and, the board is very cordial and everything. I got Sanjay Verma sir, and he was very good. But there were some questions again that I was not very sure of. And when I left, I felt, oh no, what have I done? Maybe I won't get very good marks, because there were some questions I could not answer properly. But I ended up getting 200 marks, which is a good score as well. So I think the other lesson you need to draw from it, apart from just going through it, is don't try to assess yourself in this exam, please. Because I realized my assessment of myself was completely wrong, and probably you all also have this assessment of yourself that you're doing this, you're being too judgmental, with yourself. Please don't do that, because you never know. This exam doesn't judge you the way you judge yourself. This exam is much kinder. So don't try to assess yourself, don't try to assess how you've done your papers, don't try to assess how you've done your mains, whatever it is. Just, keep going. And a few final pointers that I would like to talk about is miscellaneous things like social media. So with respect to social media, I don't know whether, I think it's a very individual thing, whether you want to have social media or not. I'll talk about myself. For me, I realized that social media could get very toxic because I was preparing from home. And I really, I didn't have much going on there. So I thought, social media could be very toxic for me. So I personally deleted social media. You don't have to, but if you are using social media, please limit your time. This is what I wanted to emphasize on. Now I've gotten selected, now I'm back on social media and everything. But I have decided that even after getting selected, I will limit my time. I have a fixed time where I use social media, and apart from that, I don't like using it. So I have maintained this because I've stayed without social media for so long, I don't want to get addicted to it again. And this is a habit you need to develop at this stage itself when you are students. When you're using social media, if at all you're using it, please limit your time, otherwise it's going to be a huge distraction. And this is especially for those people who are also preparing, outside of Delhi, like I was. For you all, you don't have to have this fear of missing out, because it's not about that. You are not missing out on anything as such. You are missing out on a few tests and whatever. But it's not that you can't make it, because I did it without being in Delhi. So if I can do it, so can you. What you need is constant focus, constant vigilance, and you need to be very disciplined about it. If you can be very disciplined about it, you'll be able to make it. One last thing about consistency. What I'd like to say is you cannot be consistent with your efforts if you don't take regular breaks. You also need to take breaks, and you need to have those refreshments. Once a week, when Sundays when you're giving your tests, take that day off. Give a test, analyze that test, revise a bit, but the rest of the day you take it off. This is what I used to do. I used to study throughout the week. Sunday I used to give the test, I used to revise it, analyze it. Half a day would go there, and the rest half of the day I would take off and I would enjoy. So this is how I maintained my consistency. And finally, I would like to say that, when you get through this journey, when you're preparing for it, it feels very difficult. And it feels very, and it is very difficult, and it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of grit and all of that. But when you get to this stage, you realize that it's all been worth it. And that is the most important part. And when you see your parents and when you see your family, they are so supportive of you, they are so happy for you, you realize, you've actually done a great thing, you've done a good thing in your life. And the sense of pride that you feel, not from the outside accolades that you're getting, but from the inside, the internal satisfaction that you get. And this is the internal satisfaction, I'll tell you, is what it can be likened to the internal satisfaction you get when you're enjoying the process. When you're enjoying the process, the sense of purpose that you feel, when you feel, okay, I'm doing something good, I'm studying, I'm being productive, you'll feel a sense of satisfaction from that. You'll get a similar sense of satisfaction when you actually clear the exam. You'll feel, okay, I've done something in my life, and that is all that matters. So this is it. If you have any questions, please ask.
So thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful speech. So I would like to request students, if you have any questions, let ma'am have some water, some relaxation, then we'll start.
Ma'am, some about the environment topics, how to cover
The environment topics.
environment and some economics, some banking and some topics, important
Okay.
topics.
So I think you need to refer to the standard sources again. So for environment, the Shankar IAS, especially the first 5-10 chapters and the last 5-10 chapters, very good, very detailed. So you can just refer to that. Apart from that, you need to refer to current affairs. Current affairs is extremely important. The Vision IAS current affairs, they have a separate environment section. That is what you need to follow properly. So that is what you do for current affairs. And also, I'll tell you previous year papers. Previous year papers, there are lots of questions on environment because Indian Forest Service is also selected. They get selected through prelims paper. So the analysis of these previous year papers have to be really good. Yeah, it has to be, you have to do it in detail. This is how you'll cover environment. And I'll tell you, if there's a previous year question on, say, wetlands or on whatever Ramsar sites, don't just go through the options and don't just cover them. Revise the entire Ramsar wetlands. The entire topic you revise. So this is how I used to analyze it. When I say analyzing previous year papers, this is how you do it. So your sources are Shankar IAS, your Vision IAS Current Affairs magazine, and the third one is the previous year papers. For economics, I referred to Runal sir's notes, and you can refer to your coaching notes, whatever it is. And I understand that, economics is a difficult subject for me as well. It's not been a very, in fact, we were talking about it, and economics is not a very strong subject for me. Conceptual clarity is more important when it comes to economics. So again, for economics, just go through the notes that your coaching notes or whatever. I went through Munal sir's notes, and also the class 11 NCRT, because your basics will get cleared. And again, the Vision IS, the current affairs thing, the current affairs part is very good. That is the sources.
Ma'am, at first, lots of congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
And ma'am, in Mrunal sir's economy notes, it's very bulky, more than 1,000
Yes,
pages.
yes.
Then where had you made any notes out of it?
No, I did not make any notes out of it. What I did is I highlighted the important portions. So the portions that I thought was important, I used to highlight it, and I used to just revise those highlighted portions. And also there are certain pillars that are important there. Everything is not important there. So specifically the pillar 1, pillar 2, pillar 3, up until pillar 4, I think is very important. So this is what I used to revise, mostly. And the rest I had just highlighted the important portions, and that is what I used to focus on.
And ma'am, as you mentioned, January onwards, you were revising one subject for one week. And where at that time, were you revising only one subject, then after another subject,
Yes.
or 2-3 subjects simultaneously?
I was revising one subject at a time, because at that time you have to be very, very focused. And see, the thing is, for people who get bored, studying one subject, I also am somebody like that who gets bored studying one subject, which is why throughout the year I used to do 60-40, 60% GS, 40% optional, and again in mains 40% GS and 60% optional. I used to do that throughout the year. But I told you during prelims, I used to keep the specific time for practice from 9:30 to 11:30. So I was already doing something else apart from simply studying that subject. Plus, you're also revising current affairs at the time. So whenever you get time, maybe revise it for current affairs for 1 hour or so. So this is how you will maintain diversity. So I used to do GS, the one subject throughout, and a bit of current affairs and the previous year papers questions that I used to practice a lot. So this would give me diversity, and I just used to revise one subject at a time for prelims.
And ma'am, as you said that you were writing 40 to 50 pages on daily basis, was it answer writing?
Yes. So for mains, I'll tell you, for mains, I do not give mains test series. I do not recommend that to you. I think mains test series are important. You can give a few of them. Don't take the feedback too hard. So what I did is that, for mains, I used to practice previous year papers, and I used to write answers to the previous year papers. So those 40 to 50 pages, what you're talking about, what I was talking about as well, I'm talking about the previous year papers and how I used to write answers for them. 40 to 50 pages, this is what I used to do. Again, the other thing I would like to mention is when it comes to mocks, please don't take the feedback to heart. Even in your prelims and even in your mains and even in your interview actually, because at the end of the day, what you do on that day, that's what's going to matter. So this is what I used to do.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank
Ma'am, tell us about the strategy for GS4, ma'am.
GS4?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So for GS4, I do not refer to any source as such. For GS4, what I used to do is I used to make notes. I used to just Google GS4, the syllabus is very compact. The syllabus is very compact, and the beauty of GS4 is what you do is you just type the main word that is given in the syllabus and type UPSC at the end of it. So you'll get a plethora of sources. So I used to make a 1-page, 2-page notes out of it, and this is what I used to revise constantly. And I got 118 marks in GS4 this year, which is I think a decent score. So what I used to do is I just used to go through those notes, and I also made diagrams out of it. You also get some toppers notes. I think Shubham Kumar sir's notes. I referred to Shubham Kumar sir's notes. He had made notes out of it, and I printed it out. And also there are lots of diagrams that he has made. So also in your time, when you clear mains, you'll get all of these sources on Telegram, and you'll get all of these miscellaneous things, and just check one source that you think is good, and just download it and just keep revising it. The main point is you just need one source, and you need constant revision of that source. Pick a source that also has diagrams. Shubham Kumar sir's notes has diagrams. So I used to just refer to his notes, and I used to make my own notes as well. I used to make topic-wise notes, and I made sure that I incorporated diagrams in it, and that was most important, the diagram part. So this is how I did it.
Ma'am, when did you start answer writing for GS4? Ma'am?
In after prelims. After prelims, because GS4, GS4 is also a lot of, it's not something that you have to memorize, and I would recommend you not to memorize it, otherwise it'll be very mechanical. Don't try to memorize anything in the GS4 paper, just try to remember the keywords. The keywords are the most important, but don't try to memorize it, otherwise it'll be very mechanical, and you don't want that in a paper like GS4. So for GS4, I just had these basic sources, and I used to write my own answers. And I did it after prelims. I didn't do it before mains. I mean, when if you feel that GS4 might be a difficult subject for you, and that's fine, then you start practicing before prelims itself. Like I said, it depends from individual to individual. I told you can start answer writing practice from October. You can write maybe 2-3 answers every day. So in that, you incorporate a GS4 answer. That's no problem. Also, one more thing that I really want to mention is the importance of toppers copies. So whatever toppers that you see, and whatever copies are being uploaded on the website, please go through them. You'll get an idea of how to go about it. I'll tell you how I used to do it. I used to open, say, Ishita Kishore ma'am's copy, and I would have it open, and I would see the first question. I would attempt the question. Then I would compare my answer and her answer, and I would see what am I lacking. So this is what helped me bridge the gap. Even though I was at home and I didn't really have anyone, this is how I was constantly comparing myself with the best. So this is what you can do as well. Please make use of the toppers copies. And for GS4, if you have a problem in GS4, Vishaka Yadav ma'am, you must have heard of her, and she's gotten very good marks in ethics. I think she got 160 marks in 2018. Her ethics copy is excellent. Go through it. So try to identify toppers who have gotten very high scores in GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, and essay. And whoever has gotten the highest score, regardless of rank, whoever has gotten the highest score in that subject, go through that toppers copy. And try to see what did they do that made them stand out, and try to emulate that in your answers.
Ma'am, as you said, we have to start the prelims preparation from January onwards. So I did the same. But since I have left the mains preparation, mains practice for 3 to 4 months now, so I have developed a sense of fear that may clear the prelims, but may end up not preparing well for the mains. So what should I do? Write answer daily or start writing, or can you suggest?
Yes. So I would say again, the January part is very individual. If you are somebody who feels that I may not be able to do well in mains if I give excessive focus on prelims, then you should give more times to mains, till February, March you should give it. But since you've talked about this, I will tell you this fear goes away when you practice. This fear goes away when you write a lot of answers. So just start writing answers and just make sure that you have that speed and that accuracy, then you automatically that fear will go away. And I'll also tell you one more thing, when it comes to mains, right, have a few sheets of paper out, A4 size sheets, and make, just keep all the data, important data that you see, that you might think is important, maybe in current affairs, that you see in your books. Just keep a note of all these data and all the quotes, even for your essays. If you come across a quote that you think is beautiful, just make a note out of it, whatever it is, and revise those data points. Just keep revising those data points over and over and over and over again. And what happens is when you're writing answers, automatically it'll come to you, the data. So this is how you remember the data, and this is how you do answer writing practice. This fear that you're talking about, whether I'll be able to make it through mains because I've given so much time to prelims. First of all, if that is your fear, please don't give that much time to prelims. Start your prelims preparation from February. Otherwise, when you're starting mains practice, the fear goes away when you start writing answers. And throughout the year also, you have to write answers up until your prelims specific preparation.
Ma'am, I am a college student, so what should be my strategy to time management?
Which year are you in?
Third year.
Third year. Okay, I think in your college years, I think you should complete the NCRTs because that is your basic foundation. Once you have and if you look at the sources that even I mentioned, I have read a lot of NCRTs. And I have, even for geography and for art and culture, history and all of that, NCRTs cover it. I would say, after your college, give maybe 2 to 3 hours to UPSC preparation, and where you take time off to study the NCRTs and also to read the news. I would say, in college, just focus on NCRTs, building your basics, and in current affairs, like getting the habit of, reading newspapers. That is most important. The rest you'll be able to cover after your college also, because it's very important to enjoy your college life, and you need to enjoy your college life. I'll tell you, the extracurriculars add so much substance to you. You don't realize it, but it really adds substance to you. And you realize it even when in the interview stage, when you're filling your DAF, when you have all these pointers to add in your DAF, about what the extracurriculars that you've done, it'll give you a sense of confidence that, I can face the board because I've done these many things. So I would say, because you're a college student, also focus on your college and enjoy college life as well. Apart from that, after college, you can maybe give 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, where you do your NCRTs and where you also read your newspapers.
Congratulations, ma'am, once again.
Thank you.
Just want to ask you about this GS prelims. So how, last year the paper was bit tricky, we got many statements and options like only 1, 2, 3. So what was your strategy? Like you also said, like in the last 5 to 10 minutes, you attempted the 5 questions. So what was the strategy that time? Like how you were able to, eliminate statements, and how you were able to judge which is going to be correct? So what was your strategy there?
Okay, thank you so much, first of all. Secondly, because the prelims is getting very tricky, I think you need to figure out yourself when it comes to how much to attempt. The way I did it, because I had practiced a lot. I told you I used to practice around 20 to 30 questions daily, plus 100 questions every week, plus previous year questions, 9:30 to 11:30. I used to practice so much. I practiced a lot. I think more than 10,000 questions I've practiced easily. So that level of practice, what it does is, no matter how difficult the paper is, like last year the paper was very difficult. Somehow, thankfully, I did not panic. I did not panic, even though I knew that the paper had changed. I did not panic inside the hall, because I knew that I had practiced so much. It was only towards the end where I lost my cool and I attempted those 5 extra questions, which I think is a huge mistake that happened. But the only way to circumvent unpredictable situations, unpredictable mains, unpredictable prelims is through practice. Because you practice so much, no matter how difficult the paper is, you'll be able to formulate a strategy on the spot. You will be able to follow the same strategy that you were following as well. For instance, the first iteration, when you read the first time and then you attempt, I think I attempted around 30 questions the first time. The second time I attempted again around 20 to 25 questions, and the third time I attempted around 30 questions as well. So in that way, around 80 to 85 questions were done. So again, you get that sense of confidence because you've practiced a lot. So again, it boils down to practice. One more thing, please don't attempt any questions in the last 10 minutes. I think you'll be in a different state of mind in the last 10 minutes. In the last 10 minutes, you begin to panic when the examiner, when everybody is flipping the pages, you'll start panicking at the time. And in that state of panic, you'll mark the wrong questions, which I did as well. So the only recommendation I would give you is be very careful about the questions you attempt in the last 10 minutes, because you won't be in the correct state of mind. Otherwise, just be very cool about it. Just breathe. Just know that you've practiced a lot, and no matter how difficult it is, if it is difficult for you, it is difficult for everyone. I remember, when I went out of the hall, and I was almost in tears because I thought, the 5 questions I've gotten it wrong, and I don't know what the paper was. I realized that it was very difficult, and my father was there, and he said the same thing that I'm telling you now. He said, if it is difficult for you, it's difficult for everyone. So, it's all right. Just be cool about it.
Hello, congratulations, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a question related to law optional. How you prepare notes? Which resources you use?
Okay, yeah, I'll talk about the resources for law. So a lot of people use Dukis, but I did not refer Dukis as such. I'm sure it's a very good source because a lot of the toppers have talked about it. I personally did not refer to them specifically. For constitution law, I refer to J.N. Pandey, and for administrative law, I.P. Messi, and for international law, I refer to S.K. Kapoor. S.K. Kapoor is very good for international law. And for torts and contracts, I refer to R.K. Bangia. R.K. Bangia is good. For IPC, Ratan Lal and Dheeraj Lal. And for CLD, it is internet.
And are you making notes from the websites also, or the only books?
So mostly books, mostly it is books, okay, mostly it is in-depth books. And for CLD and other topics, like there are a few topics in section B as well, the Prevention of Corruption Act and all of that.
ADR, competition
Yes,
law,
that you need,
IPR.
that you need the internet. You need the internet for that.
Are you making notes from the topic wise?
Yes.
PYQs.
So I'll tell you what I already talked about this also. So for the beauty of law optional is that it's very detailed. It is very, very detailed, and each topic you will get around 20 to 30 questions previous to papers. And I will refer you to de facto IAS and law experts, go through them, because they have it compiled topic-wise, the questions. So what you need to do is you need to go through these questions, and what I did is I made notes out of these questions. And I made notes from using the internet and using the sources that I mentioned.
Okay, are you making notes on the question basis?
Yes.
Okay. And what you use for the science
For
tech and
science,
bio?
yes.
Which resources
I
you
talked
use?
about the NCRTs, class 6 to class 10. I made basic notes out of that. Apart from that, it's just current affairs. I didn't deal much with science and tech.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
No, no, you have to read the newspaper. You have to read the newspaper.
But
I
I am
would
not consistently read now. So
Uh,
can PT for prelims only PT 365 enough
see,
or any other value addition?
I would say that PT 365 it comes out just a few it'll come out I think a month before the exam.
Yes. Hmm.
It becomes very difficult to revise all of it. Honestly, I personally could never revise all of it because there's so much information as well. You know, I would suggest give half an hour to newspaper for your own interest. If you can't do it, go through the Vision IS. They upload daily current affairs also. It's very compact and they give a lot of information there. You can go through it, and the monthly current affairs you have to go through it. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult, you know, to revise. PT 365 is a really great initiative and it's wonderful, but it's very difficult to revise because and unless you've done the monthly current affairs, unless you've done daily news, you won't be able to revise it. So I would say do monthly affairs, do daily current affairs. If you don't want to read the newspaper, for mains, I would say please read the newspaper. For interview, you have to make notes out of newspapers. For prelims, maybe not so important. But again, if you feel that you don't want to read the newspaper, at least go through the daily Vision IAS, the daily current affairs that they upload. Or any institute that you like. Any institute that you like, they will upload daily current affairs. Just go through it.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you.
My question would be, may you please emphasize more on your whole 1 year journey that you started after June and how you prepared like in an integrated manner for both prelims and mains, and then more on prelims. Then you started on January, that how you managed whether you were continuing writing after January or not. The answer writing, as she mentioned, it gives you a backlog panic. If you could just more emphasize on that.
Okay, so I would say, you know, throughout the year, so after my first prelims, you know, when I did not make it, I took a month off. I took a month off, and in that 1 month, what I did is that I just evaluated on my previous attempt and what were the mistakes that I made. Obviously, one was lack of time. I did not prepare for sufficient amount of time. And the other one was also paper strategy, like how I attempted the paper. I made a few mistakes there. Again, there I over attempted. I think in my first attempt, I had attempted around 95 questions. And there I did not have proper knowledge at the time. So it backfired on me and I could not clear the cutoff. So the first part after my first prelims, I took 1 month to simply think about it and simply make a strategy again. You know, and then when I was making the strategy, I realized that I can't do it by myself. You know, it's very overwhelming to do it by myself. I need some external help. I was not doing classroom coaching. I was not doing coaching anywhere. So instead, what I did is I decided to subscribe to a prelims test series because that would give me some sort of accountability, and accountability is very important in this exam. So because of the accountability factor, I subscribed to this test series, and these test series is what actually helped me. And now throughout the year, I used to prepare, you know, I had these weekly targets. Sunday I have a test, so I have to prepare this entire subject in that 1 week. This is what I have to do. On top of that, I used to do my optional also. So maybe in the morning, if I'm doing GS, in the evening I would do optional. And in the optional, I used to make notes, previous year papers. I used to go through the notes subject-wise. I used to make previous year paper notes. So this is what I did throughout the year. I used to keep giving tests, and I used to keep making notes for optional, and I made sure that 70% of my optional was complete. Now, you talked about the backlog aspect. Now, the thing is, if you have this fear of this backlog, I will tell you personally, I do not have much fear of answer writing. I think it's because I come from a law background. And in law, for law people, you know that you have to write a lot in your papers. If you come from a humanities background, then you have to write a lot in your exams. So already you have that 5-year practice, 3-year practice of writing a lot. So that fear is somewhat not there, like that much, obviously it's there, but not to that extent that other people may face. So I didn't have that much fear of answer writing, which is why maybe I could afford to give a little more time to prelims. If you're not that way, if you're somebody who's terrified of answer writing and all of that, please give more time to mains. But when you're preparing for prelims, just prepare for prelims. Because prelims is very difficult. If you don't get through prelims, then you won't be able to write mains. So if you've decided that you will give 3 months, 4 months to prelims, just prepare for prelims. Don't write any mains or don't write any answers or whatever. Make sure that you've done your answer writing practice up till that point, 2 to 3 answers per day, or maybe more also if you feel like it. But when you're preparing for prelims, just prepare for prelims.
I have one more question. Regarding the current affairs, while you're reading the newspapers, some toppers recommend you make notes out of it, and some say they don't. So what was your strategy for the same?
I did not make notes out of it. The thing is, if you make too many notes, it'll be too much to revise. So for me, I decided I'm not going to make any notes. For me, highlighting was the best option. For me, what I used to do, whatever is not there, in most of the current affairs magazines also, there's a lot of static portion there. The static portion there is already there in your books. So why do you have to, read it from 2 different places? Limited resources, that's most important. So whatever is not there in the books, that I used to highlight, that I used to revise. The rest, I used to just keep it. And also, also what happens is that when you keep reading the same thing over and over again, if in this one edition there's one news that comes out, in the second edition, the same thing gets repeated. So ultimately, your knowledge will get integrated. You won't even realize it, but it's getting integrated. So just keep going, and don't overstress on the notes part. For me, at least for me, that is what worked.
Thank you, ma'am.
And the first question is regarding the CSET. What should be the sources for CSET, and how to approach the statement and conclusion questions which are coming from the last year? And secondly, throw some light on the essay questions, how to approach the essay questions.
Okay. So for CSAT, go through buy this book, previous 10-year questions which is solved. Go through these questions, okay? I had this very thin book, and I used to just first of all practice. I used to attempt those questions. I used to try to work on my speed as well. Because what happens is that for me, English is my strong point. Okay, so I had decided that I will attempt more questions, reading comprehension. This year, English is what saved me. I did all whatever questions were asked on English, I attempted all of them, I think with 90% accuracy. So whatever is your strong point, focus on that. And whatever is your weak point, maybe math or logical reasoning, you give time to that as well. And you do it through previous year papers. And again, the previous year papers, you might say, but 2014 and all, it was very easy. Now it's become very difficult. So the relevance of previous year questions in this situation, I will tell you that the importance of previous year questions is you identify the topic that is being asked. And from there, you just Google it, or you just put it on YouTube, the same topic, and see a more advanced version of it. See the basic version of it, and see a more advanced version of it. And every day, maybe you can take one topic. Maybe you can take one topic and you can do it in detail. And this is what I did. This is what helped me. I'll tell you in the actual CSAT, because you only need 33%, you only need 67 marks around. So focus on your strong points in the actual exam. For me, my strong points was reading comprehension. I did that first. And then it was logical reasoning. And then it was math. See, you're talking about the statements and all of that, the statement and logical reasoning. I think, again, it comes with practice. See, right now, I will not be able to tell you this is exactly what you need to do for those statement and conclusions thing. It'll just come with practice, because it's part of logical reasoning. And logical reasoning, for me, is the fun bit of CSAT. So the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. What the next question was? Essay. Okay, so for essay, I told you about the data sheets that you must have. The data sheet that you must have for notes, you use that in your essays as well. And in that data sheet, also add quotes, also add certain important things or stories. You know, when you're reading the paper during mains is when you start reading the paper properly. Because not just to add for value addition in your paper, but also for essay. Because in the editorial section, I'll tell you, sometimes very beautiful lines are given. So just take notes out of it. This is what I used to do. If I read something beautiful, I would make notes, I would copy it, and I would read it over and over and over again, and I would try to incorporate that in my language, in the way I was writing the answer. So for me, the most important part of the essay was with respect to the data sheet that I had and the quote sheet that I had. And even ethics, the ethics paper, you integrate that with the essay. So the ethics notes, whatever you have, just revise that when you're doing your essay as well. Because you're going to use some of the ideas, especially in philosophical questions, some of the ideas that you do in ethics, you're going to use that in essay as well. So for me, that is the content part. Now when it comes to writing the essay and choosing the essay, I started with the quote in the first essay, the philosophical essay. I ended with a quote as well, a quote by Robert Frost. I think I started with a quote by Faulkner in the first essay that I did. And just, you know, for me, I didn't have a proper strategy for essay. I'll tell you why I didn't have a proper strategy, because I thought that I have to be very flexible with essay. I didn't want to be very mechanical about it. So I didn't want to, you know, go through this approach-based whatever it is. I'm sure it works for a lot of people. I've gotten average scores. I've gotten good enough, I would say, but not too great scores in essay. I've gotten around 124 marks. But for me, what is very important in the essay is maintaining that level of flexibility and just being natural and creative about it. So this is what I focused on. And the one thing that I'd heard a lot in YouTube also is that you need to have diversity in your essays. So try to incorporate the social part, the political part, the economic part, again, without being too mechanical. For me, the only advice I would give you for essay paper is, you know, don't follow too many rules for essay, because you need to maintain your individuality. In essay, in ethics, you need to follow your individuality. That's what matters. That's what I did, which is why, you know, I didn't focus too much on this is exactly what I'm going to do. I just had the data points and the quotes. Also, oh yeah, and how many essays to practice? I practice around 5 or 6 of them. That's it.
So, any more questions from anyone?
मैम सीसेट को आपने कितने इटरेशन में अटेम्प्ट किया था?
कितने टाइम, इतने इटरेशंस पे? मैंने पहले रीडिंग कॉम्प्रीहेंशन कर दी सब कुछ. सो पहले इटरेशन वाज ऑल द क्वेश्चंस दैट आई वाज कॉन्फिडेंट ऑफ, व्हिच इज़ रीडिंग. तो मैंने पहले वो कर दिया. फिर द रिमेनिंग क्वेश्चंस, सेकंड इटरेशन वाज लॉजिकल रीजनिंग. सो जो भी लॉजिकल रीजनिंग क्वेश्चंस थे जो मुझे लग रहा था कि मैं ये कर सकती हूँ, तो मैंने वो कर दिया. And the third iteration was math questions, which is the most difficult portion for me. I did it at the end. So 3 iterations, my strong point, then my second strong point, and then my weak point.
मैम और जो जीएस का सिलेबस है तो उसको A4 में आप नोट्स बनाती थी मेंस के लिए कि, और उसको जैसे टेस्ट में कोई क्वेश्चन आया उसे कैसे इंटीग्रेट करती थी, A4 में या डिजिटल?
मैं A4 में ही करती थी. पहले तो I used to do it digitally. Evernote I used to use. Then I realized Evernote hangs a lot. I don't know if you face a problem. I realized that it hangs a lot, and I faced a lot of problem. So for GS, I used to make A4 size notes because it also gives you that practice when you're writing. So I used to make 1 or 2 page notes. See, for GS it's a little tricky when you're making notes, because there are few subjects that are already covered in your prelims, like art and culture and all of that. It's already covered in your prelims, so making notes from mains perspective becomes quite challenging, which is why I would suggest that for art and culture and all of these questions, ancient and medieval history, make notes in your prelim stage itself, because it's easier to revise these notes at the prelim stage itself. For mains, just make notes out of those things that is not covered in prelims, that is not covered through your static books. Just make notes and just utilize the internet sources. Just use, just type the topic in question, put UPSC at the end. You'll see resources. Make around a few pages notes of it, and that will be more than enough.
मैम जो नोट्स बनाती थी वो स्मॉल मैंने लेटर में लिखती थी कि या बड़े मैंने कंसाइज या एलोबरेटेड?
concise होते थे, concise होते थे in the sense that it wouldn't be paragraph format. Paragraph तो नहीं होते थे because paragraph तो you'll elaborate in the actual exam. So it will be concise, just point related, जैसे कि कुछ important data points है या फिर कुछ quotes है या फिर ऐसे कुछ pointers है, headings, sub headings है, तो this is what I used to refer to. मैं concise notes for means.
थैंक यू.
नमस्ते मैम. सर मैम स्पेक्ट्रम को कैसे रीड करें और एम लक्ष्मीकांत को कोई ट्रिक्स हो प्लीज़ हेल्प मी.
ओके, सो स्पेक्ट्रम को पहले, स्पेक्ट्रम एंड एम लक्ष्मीकांत को पहले एक बार स्टोरी की तरह रीड करनी है, ठीक है. फिर व्हाट हैपेंस इज वो जो टेस्ट विच विल बी राइटिंग, they will give you spectrum like this, these are the subjects, these are the chapters that are coming, they'll give in that test. So just read those chapters properly, read it once, twice, thrice, okay, then give the test. Then you realize you are making a lot of mistakes, बहुत सारे mistakes बन रहे हैं. Then you go back to your book and then you study it properly. Testing is not just part of, it's part of giving a test and okay, my subject is over. Testing is also a part of studying, because when you study a subject, you won't realize what you're missing out on, what are the information that you still have to integrate. So when you finish reading that subject for 1 or 2, 3 times, after that you go back, give a test, go back and then read those things that you made mistakes with on. Okay, so that's how you study. It's the same thing for polity. Polity, there are a few chapters that are very important. Parliament, President, these important parts, very, very important. The back chapters that are there, not very important. You can just quickly skim through it. And for polity, there are certain topics. Make tables out of it. Make tables comparing the different bodies. There is a chapter, there's a specific unit on statutory bodies, and there are specific units on non-statutory bodies. For me, what I did is I took this A4 size sheet, and then I made this comparative note, where I wrote about the specific post. I wrote about, what is the term appointment process and what is the removal process. All of that, I made notes, comparative notes, and this is what I revised for polity. So that is how you study for polity.
थैंक यू मैम. सेकंड क्वेश्चन मैम, जैसे आंसर राइटिंग को सुंदर कैसे लिखे, जैसे अच्छा क्वालिटी में.
आंसर राइटिंग को सुंदर कैसे लिखें? पहले तो हैंड राइटिंग थोड़ी नीट होनी चाहिए. Handwriting does not have to be beautiful. My handwriting is not beautiful, but it is neat. It is legible. That is the only criteria. And when you're starting your answers, introduction page or whatever it is, you can start off with a nice line, especially in polity. Because polity, there's so much, in fact, in the book itself, for instance, in the preamble, you see that the chapter itself talks about, the preamble is the identity card of the Constitution. So whenever there's a question on preamble or whatever, just quote that. Just quote any beautiful line that you can quote. This is what I did. Preamble is the identity card of the Constitution. I say, just find some quotes that you might find is relevant. And if you can't find quotes, it's fine, because you won't find quotes for everything. Just make sure that you read the question properly. And in the question paper that you'll get 2 sheets. In the one sheet, you just underline it. Underline each and every part of the question. Underline the first part, second part, third part. Maybe there'll be parts, and then the subheadings have to be those parts. It has to be the exact words, copy pasted from the question paper. So just make that as a subheading and put it in a box. Put it in a box and then start writing answers again, and write it in point format. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is what I used to do, and you'll feel very confident when you're writing in point format. Oh, I wrote this many points. And also you'll notice this when you're going through toppers' copies, is that they write a lot. I mean, they won't even leave any space at the bottom. I realized this with Ishita Kishore ma'am's copy, that she was not leaving any space at the bottom. So, if you can get to this point where you write so much, where you have so much practice, that, you won't even have any space left at the bottom because you're writing so much, then that is great. That is nothing compares to that. So one is, start with something nice, something attractive. Even if you can't, it's all right, because you won't get quotes for everything, but make sure that whatever you're writing, the introduction, is relevant to the question, okay? And then when you start your answer, the subheadings has to be copied from the question itself. Whatever the question is asking, just copy paste that, and then put it in a box. And then you write down in point format, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then write it till the end, if you can. write it like this should be your endeavor, you know, like try to write it till the end, complete the paper till the very end. So this
थैंक
is
यू
how
मैम
we do it.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद
मैम जैसे कि आपने कहा कि आप टॉपिक वाइज नोट्स बनाती थी, तो जैसे इंटरनेशनल लॉ में क्वेश्चन हुआ इंटरनेशनल लॉ इज़ अ ट्रू लॉ और नॉट, सो हाउ कैन यू मेक नोट्स ऑन दैट टॉपिक?
Nature of international law chapter है. What source so have you gone through SK Kapoor? You've gone through, so there's this chapter, nature of international law.
क्वेश्चन हैज कम,
हाँ,
देयर इज
हाँ.
अ क्वेश्चन.
तो उसमें जैसे कि in that chapter, nature of international law, there's an entire chapter, so make notes out of it, and in that whether international law is true law or not, then you put the different perspectives. There are different perspectives by Austin, and then different perspectives by different people. There you remember quotes. If a question like this comes, this is a perfect opportunity for you to use quotes. For instance, Hart has said international law is law because states regard it as law. Nothing else needs further proved. So this quote is the most important concluding statement you can use in questions like that. So, you know, you'll get this material from SK Kapoor sir's books. Just go through that nature of international law and see in questions in law, no, sometimes they'll ask it in a very twisted format. This year they asked it in a very twisted format. But that doesn't mean that, you know, the sources are completely different. The sources will remain the same. I'll tell you something, I have made notes out of it. It's available digitally. For optional, I made digital notes because it's very vast. I will share it. I will share it in my Telegram group. Follow my Telegram group. It's Jayashree Pradhan. Please spell it correctly. Jayasree Pradhan. Because some other people are also asking me for my optional notes.
Yes.
So I'm willing to share my entire notes, the notes that I made. It's in digital formats. You're talking about those questions. I know those questions. I've made notes out of those questions as well. So you can just read that and you'll get an idea.
मैम मुझे ये भी लगता है क्वेश्चन पेपर देखने के बाद कि वो क्वेश्चंस तो ठीक है, लेकिन जो थोड़े से थ्योरेटिकल पार्ट होते हैं, जैसे कि अभी मैंने ये ऐसे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में प्रियम्बल से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, तो उन सबको हम लोग कैसे हैंडल कर मतलब टैकल कर सकते हैं?
उन सब में ना यू हैव टू बी फिलोसॉफिकल. उसमें यू हैव टू गिव कोट्स. You have to make it beautiful. You know, like don't give it in a basic point-wise format like a GS answer. In fact, in optional paper, I did not write it as a GS answer. I think I wrote paragraphs also in optional paper, especially in the philosophical questions that you're talking about. In philosophical questions in the optional, take it as an opportunity to showcase, you know, your knowledge. In terms of, it's very fun to write philosophical questions. It's very challenging, but it's also very fun because you can quote a lot of people. You can quote a lot of these thinkers as well. This is how you do it for your optional.
And when you started preparation for optional?
I started, because my graduation subject is law, I did not really give that much time to it. I started it throughout the year when I was doing it, you know, when I was doing it alongside GS. I had it June, then July I took a break. From August, I was preparing for UPSC from GS and optional together. So August, I was preparing.
And which test series you will join?
I did not join any test series for law. I was going to join, but then I decided that, you know, I don't have time, I will have to focus on it. So, but I've heard law experts and de facto is good.
Okay,
This is
thank
what
you.
I've heard.
हेलो मैम हियर.
Yes.
मैम मुझे ये पूछना था कि लाइक आपने जो जीएस रिलेटेड जो है मेंस के जो सब्जेक्ट्स होते हैं उसको कवर करने के लिए मैम कितना टाइम लिया था? लाइक अगर आफ्टर आप फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट के बाद आपने मेंस पे अपने फोकस किया, राइट? तो उसके बाद आपको टाइम कितना लगा वो कवर करने के लिए सब्जेक्ट्स?
कवर करने के लिए ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लगा. आई टेल यू व्हाई. क्योंकि मैंने फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में ऑलरेडी वो स्टैटिक पोर्शंस तो कंप्लीट कर लिया था. आई टोल्ड यू नो, इवन दो इट वाज माय फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट, आई गिव इट माय बेस्ट. सो मैंने प्रीलिम्स के टाइम पे ही थोड़ा बहुत तो कर लिया था पहली अटेम्प्ट पे.
लाइक प्रीलिम्स के सब्जेक्ट्स भी एंड मेंस के सब्जेक्ट्स भी?
हाँ, मेंस की सब्जेक्ट आई टेल यू, मेंस के
गवर्नेंस
सब्जेक्ट गवर्नेंस IR मैंने करंट अफेयर्स ही कवर की थी. एंड ये जो रिमेनिंग मिसलेनियस टॉपिक्स है मेंस स्पेसिफिक, वो मैंने मेंस के बाद ही किया. क्योंकि उसमें आई टेल यू, उसमें सिर्फ नोट्स बनाने हैं. उसमें ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है. उसमें सिर्फ नोट्स बनाने हैं और उसी नोट्स को रिवाइज करनी है. वॉट यू कैन डू इज़, इफ़ यू फील कि वो मेंस की यू हैव दिस फोमो, देन यू कैन मेक नोट्स बिफोर हैंड. बट मुझे ये लगता है ना कि you won't realize how to make notes in the beginning. You have no idea how to make notes. Even, I mean, to this day, I still struggle, you know, that's why I did not talk about it. Because to this day, I don't exactly know कि मैंने कैसे notes बनाए, because my note making was not very structured. मैंने notes नहीं बनाए before prelims. For these specific mains topics, I did it after mains. I did it by using the internet sources. I just used to Google it and put UPSC at the end, and अगर मुझे कुछ अच्छा लगा तो उसे I used to make headings and subheadings, and I used to put some data points and I used to make notes out of it.
Okay, thank you.
Indian geography, in physical geography, a question come from the NCERT physical geography, but the human geography questions not come from the NCERT, madam. From some map-based question and some resources and some. How can cover that?
Human geography, see, I think ये सब ना it'll be covered through your general understanding. It's not something that you have to specifically look for. Like human geography is a basic. I mean, you can go through GC Leong also. I did not go through it, but I feel that the NCERT part will be enough for it. So for human geography, I think your basic understanding is what's going to count.
I think everyone is done with the questions. So thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful time. So let's give an applause for ma'am, and let's finish the session. So anything else, ma'am, you want to share with the students?
The last thing I would like to say is that, you know, this exam is deeply personal. Nobody will have the same story. We might have similar things that we do, like using limited resources, revising it maximum times, and all of that. But all of it is deeply personal, and it will differ from person to person, which is why I said in the beginning, please don't compare yourself to others. That is the one thing that I would like to really focus on. And the second thing is, you know, when I talk today, you'll realize that my strategy was quite simple. It was not very overly complicated, and I would suggest you to be the same. Please don't overcomplicate things. You know, make it a very simple process. And the more simple you make it, the better off you'll be, because there'll be more clarity in what you're doing. And then the third thing, the last final thing is, please be definite about it. Once you've made this strategy, once you've decided that this is what I'm going to do, stick to it. Regardless of what other people say, just stick to it. And this is how you'll be able to make it. Thank you.